All right. So as you wrote down in your notes already, we are talking about chapter 2.4 today, and it's all about partial quotients, okay? And our learning goal of the day today is to be able to use partial quotients to help us divide by two-digit divisors. Okay, so if we know that the quotient is the answer to a division problem, and partial means you have part of it, what is partial? What's a partial quotient? Sarah?
Part of a quotient.
Part of a quotient. Okay. So we're used to seeing pictures like this now. What number or what division problem is represented by this picture? It should look very familiar to you. Tanvi? 195 divided by what?
It's divided by 13.
Sure, 15 equals 13. Or it could also be 195 divided by 13 equals 15, right? This is the same picture as we were working with in our problem of the day. So the quotient for this could either be 13 or 15, right? So how can we split up that quotient into parts? Because if we're talking about partial quotients, remember when we were doing this, do we look at this part plus this part, right? When we're talking about this part here, how many groups of 15 do we have? How many groups of 15 do we have, Zara? 10. And what about this part over here? How many groups of 15 do we have, Zara? 3. So the parts of the quotient that we split it up into were 10 and 3, right? 10 and 3 are parts of the quotient, so we call those partial quotients. Does that make sense? Good. Okay, let's take a look at this problem. It says, people in the United States eat about 23 pounds of pizza per person every year. Now, of course, that doesn't mean that Sarah eats exactly 23 pounds of pizza every year, and Harshita eats exactly 23 pounds of pizza every year, and Marcus eats exactly 23 pounds of pizza every year. It's just on average. So maybe Harshita only eats 1 pound of pizza every year, but Marcus eats 100 pounds of pizza every year. Do you see how that would average out? Okay? So it says people in the United States eat about 23 pounds of pizza per person every year. If you ate that much pizza each year, how many years would it take you to eat 775 pounds of pizza? Okay, let's first do what we always do. Step 1 is, what is the problem asking? What is the problem asking? Rashika? Yeah, the question's asking you, how many years would it take you to eat 775 pounds of pizza? Okay, what's step 2 when we're answering a word problem, Daniel? Before we write the equation, what do we need to do? Adam? Yeah, we need to find the important information. What's the important information we need to solve this problem, Yarden? 23 pounds of pizza per year. And? Yeah, you need to know how many years it would take you to eat 775 pounds of pizza if every year you are eating 23 pounds of it. Okay, so now my next question, of course, to you is, do we use addition, subtraction, multiplication, or division to solve this problem? Joseph? Division. Okay, if it's a division, you know my next question is going to be, is this a sharing division problem or a grouping division problem? I want you to talk with your table group or the person next to you. So we know that this is a grouping division problem because we know that in each group or each year, how many pounds of pizza do you get? 23. So we want to find out how many groups of 23 pizza or 23 pounds of pizza it would take to eat 775 pounds of pizza. So what equation do I use to solve this problem? Tanvi? 775 divided by 23. And the quotient, of course, will be our answer. The dividend is which number? Which one's the dividend, Divina?
775.
Okay, which one's the divisor, Thomas? 23. And do we know our quotient yet?
No.
Not yet. Does that mean I could also write this problem like this? 775 is the dividend divided by 23. Are these two the same thing?
Yes.
Very good. So if we're going to use partial quotients to solve this division problem, here's what we need to do. Step 1, and this would be a really good thing to write down in your notes. Step 1 says you're going to subtract multiples of the divisor from the dividend until the remaining number is less than the multiple, okay? And I know that there's a lot of math words there, so we're going to take it apart and figure out what in the world that means, okay? I also want you to know that the easiest partial quotient to use are multiples of 10. Okay, so it says subtract multiples of the divisor. What's the divisor in this equation? Adriana?
The divisor is 20.
Yeah, the divisor is 23. It says subtract multiples of the divisor, so multiples of 23, from the dividend. What's the dividend in this equation, Yanming?
700.
Yeah, so we're going to subtract multiples of 23 from 775 until the number that we get is smaller than the multiple. Okay, the easiest multiple to use, it says, is multiples of 10. Is it really easy to multiply something by 10?
Yes.
Any number, can we multiply it by 10 really easily?
Yes.
Let's try that really quick. Okay, so now step 2 says because our remaining number 85 is smaller than our multiple, right, which is 230. So it says subtract smaller numbers of the divisor, or subtract smaller multiples of the divisor until the remaining number is less than the divisor. Then add the partial quotients to find the quotient. Okay, so we subtracted 10 groups of 23, 10 groups of 23, 10 groups of 23. Can we subtract another 10 groups of 23?
No.
I wonder how many groups of 23 could we subtract to fit into 8? Maybe 2. Do you think we could do 2? Let's do 2 times 23. Let's do 2 times 23. What is 2 times 23? If I have 2 groups of 23, how many do I have altogether? Karan? 46. So I would need to subtract 46 from my remaining number. What's 85 minus 46? Siddharth?
85 minus 46 is 39.
39?
Yes.
Okay. So then how many, what's our partial quotient? If I want to keep my list, I did 10 groups of 23, then 10 groups of 23, then 10 groups of 23. How many groups of 23 did I have this time? How many groups of 23 did I have this time? Thomas? 2. So what number should I record over here? 2. Okay, let's take a look. Is our remaining number smaller than the divisor?
Yes.
Is 39 smaller than the divisor? Can we take away another group with the divisor? How many? How many times can we, what can we do? Misaki? 1. So we can do 1 times 23. What is 1 times 23? 23. So I need to subtract that from 39. What's 39 minus 23? Siddharth?
16.
16. Okay. Can we take away another group of 23 here?
No.
No, so our remaining number is less than the divisor now, right?
Yes.
So that means we can stop. Okay, so how many, do I need to record anything on my partial quotients list?
Yes.
Did I take away any more groups of 23?
Yes.
Yeah, 1. So I need to do this. Okay, then it says subtract smaller multiples of the divisor until the remaining number is less than the divisor. Are we there?
Yes.
Then add the partial quotients to find the quotient. So we need to add 10 plus 10 plus 10 plus 2 plus 1. What is that? Adriana? 33. Okay, and do we have a remainder? What's the remainder? 16, right? So our answer then is 33. We know that 775 divided by 23. How many groups of 23 are there in 775? 33. Is that it? Remainder 16. Okay, so what do we do about this remainder? Well, what we need to do is we need to reread the question and decide what the remainder means. Okay, so let's go back and reread that question. It said, if you eat 23 pounds of pizza every year, how many years would it take you to eat 775 pounds of pizza? So in the context of this question, does it mean, what does this remainder mean? Does it mean that in 33 years you can eat exactly 775 pounds of pizza? Can you finish eating all that pizza in 33 years? Or is it going to take you more than 3 years? Is it going to take you 34 years?
Maybe. Part of the.
So it tells you it's going to take you more than 33, in between 33 and 34 years to eat that pizza. Okay?